I got replaced by AI, so now it's time to live off the land. $12,000, a truck, a trailer, and a riding lawnmower, that's all we've got. No big equipment until we can actually afford it. Every episode, we're building towards a self-sufficient life. So if you want to follow the journey, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and enjoy the ride. Oh, that's such good news. Thank you so much. I'm excited to get started. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Thank you. Well, things are gonna dramatically change around our first generation farm. I got a job and we start next week, so that means I've got less time to work around here, and been talking with the wife. The biggest change we want to make is we want to preserve some of our land. We're actually really loving the way it's looking right now and don't necessarily want all these trees gone. So some changes have to be made. So one of the things that we are thinking about, this area over here on the way to our soybean field, we'll probably clear that and eventually get some better storage for our equipment. This is just not going to work, but we've got some changes we're going to make. So I just got off the phone, got a full-time job. It wasn't really the plan, but things change. Things change super fast around here, and I want to do both. I want to make a living. We don't have to worry about our $12,000 monthly payment, or our $1,200 monthly payment, and our goal to keep $12,000 in the bank. So that frees me up to spend a little bit more cash on expanding our operation. And there's a few fields I want to take a look at that are potentially going to be leases. And that's what we want to do. We want to lease some fields to start expanding our farm and, make some more money that way. But nights and weekends is going to be really the only time I'm going to have to really work on it. So start that job next week. So I wanted to get a good jump start here in April. And yeah, so I want to go check out these fields before I finalize these leases, but I think that's the plan we're going to do. So I'll see you at the first one. There's 3 we're going to look at today. All right, we got GPS set. I believe we take a right up here, and this should take us right to this first field we're going to take a look at. They're not close to the house, which, is unfortunate, but, beggars can't be choosers. I found some properties that the farmers or the landowners, were willing to lease out to us. And land prices aren't too bad. I think between these 3 leases, it's going to be less than $1,000 a month. So the potential's pretty huge for us to make some money off of this. And for proximity purposes, this is where we picked up that harvester around this area, a farm nearby. And yeah, there's 2. I actually made a wrong turn for the first one that was closer to home, but there's the 2 fields are back here, and from what I understand, one of them has no crop in it, the other 2 have grass, so we can continue our hay operation with those 2. And then, pick a crop to get planted to get another field going. I think that's the plan, but we're going to go take a look at these fields and kind of determine it based on, well, you know what? How do we get back there? That is, we just passed one of them. We'll get that on the way back. Yeah, this field to the left here. Looks like access to the field is right here. Let's just pull over to the side for now. Yeah, this looks pretty good. I believe they had soybeans in it last time around. And just trying to look at this, this is a lot compared to what we've done before. Almost 8 acres, 7.65 acres for this field. And this one over here was available, but I just don't think we're ready for this. This is almost 20 acres. That just seems like too much. The time that we have to us or available to us. So yeah, this looks good. I think it probably is going to need lime. And we'll have to get a good amount of fertilizer in the ground too, but it looks like it's cold, or it was harvested, so it probably needs... Well, we could plant directly on top of this state with our seeder. Yeah, I think that's a big win, I think. Let's go ahead and jump back in the truck. We'll go back to that other field on the way back. This was an interesting field. How do we get... That's that one back there. Is it completely closed in by this fence? Ah, looks like there is an entrance right here. Get the gates open. Interesting little pond here. This is a cool little property right here, but you know, they haven't been doing anything with this field. This isn't the right one. Yeah, I don't think this is right, because this looks like some clover. It was supposed to be a grass field. Yeah, that's not the right property, guys. I hope we don't get in trouble for trespassing. I was gonna say, that looks like a pretty sweet little gig right there. I would put a house on that property. That's pretty sweet. Let's get these closed like we were never here. Oh, that's embarrassing. Now, I wonder what the story is, because this is definitely the right property now. Like, it's right on. There's just no equipment here. I wonder if this was like a retired farmer. Yeah, about 10 acres of grassland here. You know, we could do whatever we want with it, technically, but I think it makes sense to do some hay work on here. Yeah, I'm going to just kind of ask. It seems a little weird. I'm going to knock on the door, see if anybody's home. Festive for Easter. I love it. So, yeah, yeah, nice young couple. They have no interest in farming. They've taken over the property from their grandparents, and basically they're looking for someone to just maintain that grass area. And, you know, they don't mind if we make money off of the hay. So it'll be, you know, basically they're going to be paying us to maintain it. Or we're going to be paying them to make money off of it, but they're going to make money off of us leasing it, and they're going to get it maintained for them. So it's a pretty good gig for them. So that's a winner. Let's find this third field as well. Well, I've been having quite the journey trying to find the access points to this field back here. Gosh, I bet this floods. It seems like a dried up river right here. There's this field. Gosh, there's got to be an access point. Probably shouldn't be driving the truck. The 4x4 or the 4-wheeler probably would have been better to come in here with. Just stay off these crops. You know, I'm hoping maybe on the other side we'll be able to see another access point, but just gotta kind of, oh, almost hit the trees there. Kind of weave through here. Yeah, this might not be, I mean, I guess I'm kind of understanding why nobody's leased this field already. This is the journey you got to take to get back there. Yeah, we're still not even really close. Another forest area, another field to weave around. We ran into a river. There's got to be a different way to get in here. I'm going to get my drone out. I do have it in the back of the truck here. Nice little access road right there. Comes around, leads to this field. Yeah, we went the wrong way. That's embarrassing. Makes a lot more sense. All right, so we cruise around this way. Take a left here, and then it's just a straight shot. Okay, so, you know, you do have somewhat of an easement here that we have to deal with the other farmers. And it's right on a pond. Nice little fishing location here. Yeah, this grass is looking pretty good. Yeah, I think we're going to take all three of them. I'm going to head back home, do the paperwork, but then I think we got to get going. I think we'd prioritize figuring out the crop we want to get in the ground, as well as getting the grass cut, and we can turn it into hay tomorrow. Yeah, I think that'll do. I think that's the plan. All right, we're back home. We're going to hop on the computer system that they have in town to get the paperwork going for these leases. Let's take a look at it. So field 67 is the one that was by the pond. If we lease that, it'll be $168 a month. We'll grab that one. Then there was 79, which was that nice young couple, which is $98 a month. And then 77 was the one that was about 7 acres, and that one's going to cost us $113 a month. You know, land's relatively cheap around here. So at that 5% over a year for the leasing, it's not terrible to do that. So, you know, it didn't really eat into our bottom line much, and, you know, the mortgage payment's going to be taken care of by the day jobs. We do have a little bit of a budget to play with, but I don't know if we're going to be able to afford something to take care of lime this year on that new field. If it would be better just to get a crop in the ground, since it is April already. And just taking a look around, I don't think we have a lot of seed. We could check the cedar and get that hooked up. Since we already have the soybean seeds, I think I will head back to that field with the seeder here. And I think that'll be our first task. And then we can come back, get the mower, and get the grass cut. And we should have plenty of time for that today. You know, we got a wide load here. We want to make sure we're driving safe, get as far over as possible. But I'll see you at the field. As I'm driving over here, I kind of feel like we should have loaded this up on the truck. I think we might do that moving forward because this is quite the drive at 20 miles an hour. Car after car after car keeps passing us. Feel kind of bad, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Still quite a ways to go. Man, that's a nice setup there. Their little garage, detached garage for their house, and a beautiful shed in the back. I don't know if I would have gone all white like that, but man, what a cool setup they've got. Yeah, I'd like to clear some area for a shed that size on our property. Be able to get all the equipment inside so it's not outside, you know, getting damaged by the elements. Getting some inspiration driving around town. And we've finally arrived. Let's just go ahead and hop in the field here. And, you know, this seeder should just be able to, yeah, just lowered it and start pulling forward. Let's go ahead back here and take a look at how it's looking. Yeah, see a little bit of seeds in there. Looks like it's going good. That should work. All right, hopefully we have enough. You know, between the fertilizer and seed in here, I'm, you know, definitely hoping that's enough to get this field done. If not, I'm probably gonna call my wife and have her bring the truck up here, and then I can drive her back, and I can load this stuff on the trailer, so we can get around a lot quicker. Especially if I have to go get some seed. But I think I will just, you know, wrap myself around the headland a few times. And, you know, see how quickly we feel like we're making progress here. I think it was wise to get the crop in the ground first. We can always cut the grass later this month if we need to. Yeah, let's get a little focused here, and, you know, we'll check the levels of the fertilizer and seed after doing, you know, a few times around the headland, and see if we feel like we got enough to finish. You know, this feels significantly different than the fields we have at home. You know, we have a soybean field planted. We have a wheat field planted. We're absolutely still getting chickens. I kind of want a mega farm, guys. Not going to lie. I want a large farm with big equipment. And, you know, we'll keep our property as the headquarters long term. But I think I want to, you know, get a good amount of fields around town here long term. And, you know, we'll baby step it. This will be our first year doing it this way. You know, maybe we'll purchase these fields, but it just seems like, you know, talking to a lot of guys in town, a lot of people lease fields, and I think that's the way moving forward that we're going to do it for a while, and it should be super profitable that way. We don't have the extra income, you know, property tax that we have to pay. The property owner's paying that. You know, we don't have to, you know, have, you know, that extra expense of taking out a mortgage or a loan, a land loan to buy the land, and we can just profit off of it. Seems like the way to go. Well, I've been out here for about an hour so far. We've done our third loop around the field, and I think that's enough headlands. And I do want to clean this up a little bit because I know I won't later on. It might be okay. Yeah, we'll just clean that up a little bit right there. Go ahead and lift. And I do want to get this open so I can take a look in here. Yeah, seed's looking okay. We might need a little bit more seed. But let's open up this other one as well. And hop up here. Oh, wow. Yeah, we're pretty low on fertilizer. So, yeah, luckily I did have my wife. You know, she's heading to the store with the truck to to get some seed and fertilizer for us. So we should see her in a little bit, hopefully. Well, she just got here with the Jeep. She had the Jeep on the trailer. I couldn't believe she did that. But, you know, she's going to head on home, and we're going to get this all refilled. I think we'll grab one of these bags of fertilizer. Pretty heavy, but go ahead and get this all loaded in here. There we go. Going in good. All right, let's get that other bag. And I think, even if that's not enough, we got the truck now, so we can, yeah, let's go ahead and shut it off, actually. So we can, you know, drive back and forth if we need to. Looks like some more fertilizer right here. Fertilizer did go pretty quick, so hoping this is enough. It's probably not going to be, but we can go get more. Didn't want to overbuy. We'll learn as we go here. That means we can get back to work, finish getting this field planted. And we should be able to, you know, drive back home a lot quicker with the truck here. That was real nice of her to do that. I can't believe she thought about putting the Jeep on the back of the trailer so I didn't have to drive her back. She wanted to save me a little bit of time. Just a small little section to do now, but I think we're going to be pretty close to being out of seed and fertilizer. So I want to take a little peek in here. Gonna have to head into town if that's the case, but let's look in here for this. So yeah, we're running pretty low. We do have seed in the truck, but fertilizer we'd have to... Whoop, yeah, it's not worth it. All right, let's shut that off. We're going to take a little cruise into town, and I think I'm also going to pick up the mower since we're so close to this first field. Once I get done planting, I want to instantly, you know, get back over here and start cutting that grass. So it would be nice to, you know, not have to go all the way home. It's a decent trip. It's, you know, about a mile home, so it'd save us some time to not have to do that. All right, let's get this seed put in here. Just top up here. There we go. And I think the other one will fit, so we might as well do that so we don't lose it on the drive. You know, things tend to just jump out of this truck sometimes. And do not enter this way between now and summer. Now I see why. Yeah, it looks like it all should fit. Yep, perfect. All right, I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, we got some more fertilizer. We got our balance all the way down to, you know, 17,800. But again, the new day job is going to take care of the bills around the house. So, oh, come on. So it's not as bad of a situation as it was before. We got a little bit of a cushion. Money's going to be just fine. So I think this should be plenty of fertilizer to finish. We will have to buy some liquid fertilizer to come out here and spray it. And we'll have to see how much herbicide we have, because we'll want to spray it for some weeds as well. But this should be a pretty good payday compared to our tiny little soybean field that we had, you know, last fall. Should be a good start to, you know, becoming our own, you know, entity here, our own farming company. And, you know, create a business that we can hand down to the next generation. Just a couple more passes to go, and we'll be done with our first job of the year. All right, we are finished with the first job. Yeah, we'll come back, you know, probably later this month and get it sprayed for weeds, but then, you know, probably in May or June, we'll definitely come back for spraying. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit everything on here. What I'm going to do, I am going to drive over with the tractor, drop the seeder, and we'll come back and get the truck. I might ask them if I can store this there until later this week to come back and get it. I might be able to get it back today. I'll just drop it right here for now. Interesting barn they got here. Or shed. All right, truck is over here. Let's go ahead and just back up and hook up to the mower. Definitely think we're going to be looking at some upgrades long term for some of our equipment. All right, away we go. Seems like pretty good grass here, so, you know, equipment upgrades are definitely coming. Like, we got to make some money first, but I would love to have a wider width on the mower especially since we do have a good amount of acres to cut now. You know, it got us by on our property, and I think we're not gonna worry about doing hay over there anymore. This grass should be, you know, well taken care of compared to the grass that we were cutting. So I imagine our yield's gonna be huge over here compared to what we were getting on our just naturally growing meadow. At least that's the thought. And we can just mow that like we used to and maintain it to make sure the yard's looking pretty and everything. And really just let that be kind of our property that we just enjoy while I farm on these lease properties. And I think that's going to be the best for our family. You know, if we do get, you know, we're going to get the chickens. The chickens will be at home. You know, maybe we'll expand to cattle eventually as well, which would be a nice way to make some extra money. You know, who knows? Maybe we'll get all types of animal types in our new farm, our new venture here. But it's all about taking our time, making sure we're making wise financial decisions, and not expanding too quickly. So, gonna focus on getting this field done, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Well, we finished up the first field. Just kind of pulling up on the trailer here. You know, just loading up on the trailer. We're gonna head on to the other field. That took a little bit longer than I would have desired. And that means upgrades. We're gonna look into some upgrades eventually, and yeah, we'll come back for the cedar. But yeah, so thought process here is that with the day job, I'm not gonna have as much time to really work on these fields. So being a little bit more efficient would be nice. I know we're gonna cut this probably 2 more times this year if things work out right with weather and everything. So, yeah, I mean, exciting start. But definitely some upgrades. This other field, you know, it's, you know, almost 3 o'clock already. I'm expecting it to be pretty late when we get done with it, with how slow it's been going. And it's going to really determine how quickly I could find this road again. To see, you know, how quick we can get this field cut. Oh, yeah, it looks like it is right here. So we just go straight now. And then turn left here. Yep, that pond straight ahead of us. We are in the right location. Oh yeah, upgrade would be nice. We're gonna cruise around this field, which is a little bigger. I think it's, yeah, quite a bit bigger. So it's gonna be pretty late when we get done. But just so I can stay focused, I will see you guys then. Well, it definitely feels like we're earning our way and learning which pieces of equipment we're going to want to upgrade first. And I've been out here for a few hours, and you can see the progress we made this direction. It's not great. There's just a whole lot to cut still. It's getting late. It's already, you know, almost 5:30. Yeah, I'm making a list in my head. We're going to get through, you know, baling and all that. See how much money we make. We're going to have to figure out a way to apply lime if that's going to be needed. Probably need to get the soil sampled on these 3 new fields that we have. And yeah, equipment upgrades are going to be very important. I'm sure I've said that a lot in today's vlog. But it's picking and choosing which ones we do first. And the tasks that we do often, I think, are going to absolutely be first. Like if we're going to mow 3 times a year, 2 fields. And, you know, these are significantly larger fields than what we were doing on our property. We're gonna get those missed pieces too when we're finishing up, but we're gonna have to upgrade the mower, I think, and the tender, and the tedder, and the rake. I don't think we're gonna want to row these with this tiny little equipment. $17,000 right now in our budget. But I just don't think that's going to go very far for these upgrades. So we'll have to be patient the first few times. Should be a lot of hay compared to what we've done in the past, though. That's the promising part. Well, we're running on fumes out here. We're going to get some diesel on the way home. But there's just a small section up here that I did want to cut. Again, you know, a little bit that I missed. But yeah, definitely going to get some diesel on the way home. absolutely going to be picking up some bigger equipment long term, because it's used a lot of diesel too with these tiny little passes that we could do here. Yep, there's the spot that I wanted to do. All right, that should do it for mowing today. Got a couple more days before the new job starts, so we'll be able to get back out here and get this, you know, all rode up tomorrow and potentially baled on both these fields. But we also need to take care of, you know, some spraying on the new soybean field, and we need to check our soybean field as well. Let's go ahead and get this strapped in so we don't, you know, lose our tractor on the way home. Quite a busy day. Definitely got everything done that I was aiming to get done. And a little bit extra, I think. You know, we got some new fields. We, you know, have some plans in our head on what we're going to do to progress and buy some upgraded equipment. And I can see where the itch is. You know, that was one day we worked 3 fields. You know, we still have a lot of work to do on all 3 of them. But man, as we get bigger, better equipment, we're going to want so many more fields. All right, cruising in here to get topped off so that we have plenty of fuel in the John Deere in the morning. Just about $300 in diesel costs there. My goodness, that's another expense we got to think about. Beautiful April morning. We do have some rain coming, and we're going to need a bigger trailer, guys. That's not going to work. So I think that might be one of our top purchases that we're going to have to do this year. I'm going to start looking around for that pretty much instantly, though. So we're going to head back out to those fields. And we're going to start with the one furthest away, work our way closer to home. It's the way I like to do things, or the way I think I want to do things around here. I do want to stop over here and see how things are growing. Yeah, I think we just need to let this be. We don't need to put any more fertilizer down. I think it's pretty good. Got barley here. We got barley or wheat over there, and then, you know, that really sets us up to be able to go get the lumber to build the chicken coops that we're going to be adding this year, because we'll have the feed for the chickens. And that was my prerequisite. You know, I wanted to make sure we're able to feed them prior to getting chickens, because I didn't want to spend extra money on chicken feed. Would rather do that all ourselves. And that'll give us some eggs. You know, we can sell the excess, but we'll definitely be using a good amount of the eggs from the chickens. We're not going to get a ton of them. Don't necessarily want to become a livestock operation, but, you know, you never know what's going to happen. Or at least not yet. I think we got a flat tire, guys. There's something going on here. Yeah, upgraded trailer. So many upgrades we need. So many upgrades. It's taken a while to get out here because of this. Might as well have drove the John Deere itself, but I think saving the diesel is a little wiser. We're getting a little bit of better fuel mileage on the Silverado here. But we've arrived. All right, we got it unloaded, but we need to grab our toolbox here, because we're going to make sure this is configured correctly to flip the grass around. All right, that's looking good. Let's put this back for now. Right there will be fine. So we should, you know, just cruise around, flip this grass. You know, we can go as fast as we want in this, but I feel like 12 miles an hour is going to do it here. But yeah, you can already see the size of this is just really not going to do it for us. Yeah, 13 miles an hour feels pretty good here. Just keep cruising on around, get all of this tedded up, and, you know, little spots that we miss like that, we'll come back and get later. Yeah, width is definitely gonna need to be improved here. Well, we'll make the best of it this time around, but boy, I'm hoping we make a ton of money off of this hay this year. I'm gonna stay busy. See you guys in a little bit. You know, we're out here making these swaths, and we're really fighting against a rainstorm, but it's also got me really thinking about, you know, we were in survival mode for the first year, and now we're, you know, we got the job lined up, we've made money, we got through that year, we've proven we could make a living farming. Now that I'm not completely in survival mode, I'm definitely thinking about the potential of financing some equipment. But I think what I want to do before we jump the gun on that is get this field done, baled up, and sold, and really get an idea of what we're going to make financially, because it took forever to TED that. I was wanting to get both these fields done today. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to run into that storm, and we're going to have to wait till tomorrow or maybe a few days from now when things dry out a little bit. Yeah, and I could have gone over. I could have been a little bit more efficient with this as well. But yeah, just kind of struggling a little bit mentally because we don't have to do this. I don't think I want to be a hay farmer long term. I definitely think I want to focus more on crops. Yeah, I think so, guys. So we're going to use, it'll be a way to make money though. We got to start somewhere. We had the equipment to do this. So we'll keep cruising. We're going to get this road up, and now that I'm starting the ups and downs here after I removed, I moved a lot of the grass away from the edge of the field to make it a little easier. It's moving a little bit quicker now, so maybe I'm just getting a little impatient. But yeah, like I said, once you're not in survival mode, you kind of think about things a little bit differently. Well, a couple hours have passed and we're finally out here baling. I am super excited to see how much money we're going to make off this field. We're going to find out soon. There is some rain in the forecast, so I don't think we're going to be able to get to the next field. We're going to try, but depending on how much money we make here, we might look into making some purchases today, because that took way too long to do. As we've been debating upgrading everything, this seems not bad. And, right now we don't have any equipment to pick up any bigger bales. So a bigger baler wouldn't really be that awesome right now. We'd have to have some equipment to help us move them around, where right now I can pick these ones up by hand. Yes, it's a lot more work. Drive around the truck, stop every once in a while, pick them up, especially when I'm by myself. But I think we prioritize other equipment, and we can keep this going for a while until we absolutely can afford, a front loader on a tractor with some pallet forks, or something like a skid steer, or even a telehandler or something to help load bales. Baby step it. We'll definitely be baby stepping this. Well, we are heading into town with the first of what's going to be multiple loads of hay getting sold today. I don't know how well prices are right now, but we're going to find out momentarily. All right, we're cruising in for this first selling event today. 10 grand. That's not bad. Let's go see how much we have left. Now, high, we can get this dollar amount and see if we have a decent budget to buy some upgraded equipment today. Well, you can see our dollar amount's at $27,000. We are selling our second load of hay bales here. We have a little bit left to sell after this, about a third, maybe a little bit more than a third of a load. So another 10,000 there. That puts us up to 38,000. And we should be pretty close to having a nice budget to buy some decent equipment. And I think my estimation was wrong. I think this is about 2/3 of a trailer full here. Beautiful, another $7,500. So we brought in about $28,000 today. I'm gonna do a little bit of shopping. Let's head to the store. First, we're gonna get a gooseneck hookup to the truck. $1,500. We're gonna sell the trailer, which we'll get $2,400 for. 24, 26. And we'll get a nice upgrade to our PJ trailer, $9,500. We're gonna go with this 19,500 windrower and the matching tedder for 16,500. And after all of that, we have $1,000 left over. We spent 45. But let's go ahead and hook up this trailer. And we'll probably have to do one piece of equipment at a time and ask someone nice here to help us load these things up. Maybe this lady here walking up be able to help with that. We got it loaded up and we're heading home, and it has started to rain. So we'll get the equipment back home, but I think it will be tomorrow when we get to try out these new bad boys and finish taking care of that second field. I'm hoping to make closer to, you know, a little bit more money on that field. I believe it is a little bit bigger. So this stuff, you know, paid for itself today. And tomorrow I think we'll make even more. But we also got to treat the new soybean field with some herbicide, and then in May we'll need to do a little bit more fertilizer. And we'll want to actually treat those 2 grass fields as well so that we can make sure we're maximizing the yield when it comes time to cut them again in June or July, whenever we get around to it, or whenever it grows long enough for us to cut it again. Gosh, if we're making 80 grand every 3 months off of this hay, that wouldn't be too bad, would it?